Hello friends and welcome back. Prince Harry's visa information has been released. Well, not really. Documents related to Prince Harry's U.S. visa application were released this week following a court order by U.S. District Judge Carl Nichols. However, these documents were heavily redacted, meaning that significant portions were blacked out to protect sensitive information. A real letdown for the media, trolls, and the Heritage Foundation, which for the past 2 years has been on an unhinged crusade, led by the obsessive and small Nile Gardner, to have Prince Harry's visa records released to the public. The entire crusade has been an expensive fishing expedition and an exercise in public harassment. Let's do a quick recap, shall we? In January 2023, Prince Harry's best-selling memoir, Spare, is published, in which he admits to past use of cocaine, marijuana, and psychedelic mushrooms. Who hasn't? March 2023, the Heritage Foundation, a conservative think tank, initiates its efforts to access Prince Harry's immigration records by filing a Freedom of Information Act request with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. At the time, the Heritage Foundation said it was seeking to determine whether Harry disclosed his drug use on his visa application and if he received special treatment when he moved to the U.S. in March 2020. May 2023, after the DHS denies the FOIA request, the Heritage Foundation files a lawsuit against the DHS in federal court in Washington, D.C. to compel the release of Harry's immigration records. The think tank argued that there is significant public interest in whether the DHS acted appropriately given Harry's drug use admissions. There wasn't then, and there isn't now. The Heritage Foundation also accused the Biden administration of protecting Prince Harry by not releasing his details, when in reality, the DHS was just following federal law, which says private visa information can't be released via a Freedom of Information Act. March 7, 2024, after several hearings of the Heritage Foundation demanding to see Harry's visa records and the DHS refusing to hand them over, Judge Nichols orders the DHS to submit Harry's visa documents for an in-camera review, a private examination by the judge, to assess whether they should be released. Finally, on September 23, 2024, Judge Nichols rules in favor of the DHS, denying the Heritage Foundation's request to release Harry's visa records. He concludes that Harry's privacy interest outweighs any public interest in disclosure. The case is terminated. November 2024, Trump wins the U.S. election. The media and the Heritage Foundation are practically salivating at the idea of Trump deporting Prince Harry, only for Trump to declare he wouldn't. February 5, 2025, the case is reopened in federal court in Washington, D.C., following the Heritage Foundation's continued push. March 17, 2025, Judge Nichols orders the DHS to release Harry's immigration files by March 18, reversing his earlier stance based on the Heritage Foundation's argument that public interest justifies disclosure, which brings us to March 18, 2025. The DHS complies with the court order, releasing some court documents related to Harry's immigration files. However, the released documents are heavily redacted, and Harry's actual visa application remains undisclosed. The Trump administration also made it clear with the release of the documents on Tuesday that Prince Harry did not receive any special treatment when he was admitted to the country over 5 years ago. Prince Harry has never publicly spoken about this whole debacle, but sources have always maintained that he was truthful on his visa application. So much for Trump ordering Harry's deportation within months. The document disclosure also showed us that the media continues to be obsessed with Prince Harry to the point of blatantly lying, and Nile Gardiner might have a secret X account he uses to troll the Sussexes. The media has been obsessed with Prince Harry's status in the United States ever since the Heritage Foundation started this crusade. The media has spent 2 years sensationalizing this lawsuit and presenting it as a deportation case when really it's always been a document disclosure case. The British media in particular has been breathlessly reporting that Prince Harry's deportation from the U.S. was imminent, and that Harry and Meghan's American dream was all but over. Mostly because the UK is like an abusive ex, unable to get over the fact that Harry is never coming back. This sensationalized reporting created the facade that the Heritage Foundation actually has a strong, legitimate case, when in reality it has been a fishing expedition that has probably only gotten this far because the judge is a Trump appointee. Prior to the release of the documents on Tuesday, the British media and some legacy U.S. media outlets reported that Prince Harry's visa application would be made public. That was obviously false, because again, none of the documents released contained Prince Harry's actual visa applications, and many of the stories had to be corrected. Not only has the media spread misinformation about the case, but it has also been instrumental in spreading the Heritage Foundation's talking points, like the Biden administration was protecting Harry by not releasing his visa information. This conveniently neglects the fact that Harry was let in under the Trump administration, and the Biden administration was simply following the law, just as the Trump administration is surprisingly doing by releasing a heavily redacted version of the documents. The reason Trump won't deport Prince Harry isn't because he's fond of the royal family, it's because he can't. Trump might be a wannabe dictator, but the U.S. is still governed by law. Contrary to the Heritage Foundation's argument, there are many ways someone can be let into the country despite admitting to prior drug use. Harry isn't an addict, nor has he been convicted of a drug-related crime. Mick Jagger has also openly admitted to taking cocaine, amphetamines, and cannabis. His well-documented drug use does not appear to have been a bar to entry to the U.S. Russell Brand is well known for his heroin addiction and run-ins with the police, having been arrested 12 times. Despite his past record, however, the star has not been barred from America and lives in L.A. Ozzy Osbourne, a man with a long documented history of drug use, has been a permanent resident of the U.S. for over 25 years. Trump also knows that honoring a Freedom of Information request to see Prince Harry's visa or deporting Harry would open up a can of worms for people like his wife. Melania Trump was famously let into the U.S. with an Einstein visa, a U.S. immigration visa for individuals with extraordinary ability in the sciences, arts, education, business, or athletics. If the Heritage Foundation is worried about unequal treatment, they should inquire about the current First Lady's visa. Melania Trump was also reportedly very upset when the Heritage Foundation used copies of her mother's visa in their argument for Harry's case, calling it a potential security threat. If anyone can demand to see Prince Harry's visa, then no one is safe. The court made it clear that revealing Prince Harry's visa application details could cause reasonably foreseeable harm in the form of harassment, as well as unwanted contact by the media and others. Despite this, Gardner and his allies are spinning the redactions as part of a conspiracy. Mike Howell, executive director for the Oversight Project at the Heritage Foundation, said that the foundation still believes that the Duke of Sussex has something to hide, enough to warrant his departure from the country. Time for Prince Harry to go home, Howell told ABC News. Every partial answer raises 3 new questions. We now believe he has committed a felony by lying on an O1 visa and on Form DS-160. The 01 visa is reserved for the individual who possesses extraordinary ability, according to the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. And Form DS-160 pertains to temporary travel to the U.S., so I'm not sure Mike Howell knows what he's talking about. According to ABC News, Howell did not further explain these unsubstantiated claims. Samuel Dewey, the lawyer for the Heritage Foundation, told the Daily Mail that Prince Harry was furious at voters for electing Donald Trump in the 2024 election. And aside from Harry's paperwork, the Duke really ought to go from America after repeatedly criticizing Trump, including a recent thinly veiled jibe about weak moral character in the world. He's in a country he clearly hates. He's clearly furious at the American voters and attacking them for the result of the 2024 election. Harry should just go home. First, Harry and Meghan have never publicly criticized Trump. The Daily Mail decided Harry's comment about the weak moral character in the world during his speech at the opening ceremony of the 2025 Vancouver Invictus Game was about Trump. In every interview and public statement Harry has given in the past 5 years, he's spoken about how much he loves America and how the U.S. is his home now.
Look, living here now for 5 years, it feels like home. Santa Barbara feels like home. Brought up both of our kids in Santa Barbara. I think left the UK when my son Archie was about 6 months old, and Lily, my daughter, was born here. What do I miss the most? Being British, maybe. I'm not going to say the weather, but I don't know. I think, look, there's lots of little bits and pieces that I miss. I guess the countryside is a big piece to that, and one of the reasons why we live in Santa Barbara. I'm not really a city person. I like to be out in space with a big sky above me. But no, you know what? Life takes extraordinary turns, and we are, as a family, we're so happy here. The US provides so much opportunity and also a safe space for us, which has been great.
Also, Prince Harry isn't directly involved in this case. This case is between the DHS and the Heritage Foundation. Therefore, when Nile Gardner accuses the government of a lack of transparency, he is criticizing the same administration the Heritage Foundation is accusing Prince Harry of hating. This isn't unexpected, though. The Heritage Foundation has been moving the goalpost with each legal defeat. At first, they said their reasons for pursuing Prince Harry's visa information was to uncover whether he received special treatment or lied about his drug use, framing it as a test of immigration law's impartiality. Now, they are desperately accusing Prince Harry of committing a federal crime. The Heritage Foundation is floundering. Of course, the person who is having the hardest time accepting this latest defeat in the Heritage Foundation's pursuit of Prince Harry's visa records is Nile Gardner. Nile Gardner's claim to fame is that he was a former advisor to Margaret Thatcher, but he leaves out the fact that he worked for her a decade after she lost power. Nile, who was once compared to Anthony Perkins' character in Psycho, is currently a director of the Margaret Thatcher Center for Freedom at the Heritage Foundation, which sounds like a job you give someone when you want them to feel important, but you don't want them to have power. Nile has built his career on attacking the Sussexes. He frequently appears in British tabloids and right-wing media to criticize them. His social media feed is full of obsessively hateful tweets about the Sussexes. And when I say obsessed, I mean obsessed. He's unhinged. So it's not surprising that he probably has a secret burner account dedicated to trolling Harry and Meghan. On Tuesday, the day the redacted documents were released, Nile Gardner tweeted, "Prince Harry's immigration application should be released to the American people. There should be full transparency, accountability. The key questions remain whether he lied on his application or was given preferential treatment. No one is above the law." To which @RimFK commented, "Has yours been released to the American people? Since we are the transparency train, start with yours. Then get Melania a ticket. Elon to effing hell the Osbournes, the list is endless. Go F yourself. Buy a dildo or something and peg your small self and release that hard-on you have for Harry. If worse comes to the worst, hook up with Martin Branning, he will help you out." Strong words, to which Pamela P. Kramer replied, "Moron. They can look at any of my travel documents and not find any drugs, arrests, or bad behavior. None." It didn't take long for people to suspect that Nile Gardner may have accidentally replied from a burner instead of his main account. The Pamela P. Kramer account regularly engages in the same rhetoric as Gardner. The account has defended his visa crusade, parroted his right-wing talking points, and tweeted hate for Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. I wouldn't say Nile Gardner is a big fan of the word moron, but he uses the word. It's a bit of an old-school insult. Gardner's alleged burner account has also promoted the unhinged YouTube channel, The Royal Grift. Nile Gardner is almost as obsessed with the Sussexes as the woman running the Royal Grift channel is, and that's saying something. Given the level of obsessive vitriol Nile Gardner has for the Sussexes, I wouldn't be surprised if he watches YouTube channels dedicated to hating Meghan. It wouldn't be the first time a British media figure who regularly attacks Harry and Meghan has been suspected of using an anonymous account to attack Meghan. Royal reporter Richard Eden was caught in a similar situation back in 2022 when an account for Maureen Ayers replied to a comment directed at him. What's interesting is that despite the accusations by other users, the Pamela P. Kramer account has continued to tweet as usual. If this account is Nile Gardner's burner account, which I suspect it is, then perhaps he realizes it's more suspicious to go quiet. I commented on a post Nile and/or Pamela made. No response. But I'll keep you posted. At least Nile Gardner has words of encouragement from fellow Harry and Meghan obsessive Dan Wooten, aka Martin Branning, to help him through this difficult time. Nile is not the only delusional one. Royal reporter Richard Kay claimed after the very underwhelming release of redacted documents related to Prince Harry's visa that Prince Harry was under pressure about his drug use from a top-notch legal team. No, he isn't. A top-notch legal team would know that the DHS can't release Prince Harry's full unredacted visa papers because it's against federal law to do so. A lawyer from a top-notch legal team wouldn't make libelous claims about Prince Harry hating the U.S., especially if said lawyer had a restraining order granted against him which included surrendering firearms after threatening to kill his father and himself. I do concede that the Heritage Foundation is very well funded, though, and unfortunately not yet done with its crusade against Prince Harry. So if the DHS refuses to release Prince Harry's unredacted visa information because 1, it would be a federal crime to do so, and 2, they don't want to get sued for releasing private information, and the court made it clear that it won't release Prince Harry's visa application details because doing so could cause reasonably foreseeable harm in the form of harassment as well as unwanted contact by the media and others. And DHS officials for the current Trump administration have said that claims Prince Harry received special treatment when he emigrated to the United States are false. And a lawyer from the Department of Homeland Security said that Harry's application followed all the applicable rules and regulations. And Trump has flat out said he will not deport Prince Harry. Then why is the Heritage Foundation still going after Prince Harry? Because anything involving Prince Harry gets a lot of media attention. Hate clicks drive engagement and controversy sells. That's why publications like the Daily Mail are so desperate to keep this case alive. Just like Meghan and Harry have become political tools used by the media to distract from real issues, they have also become political tools to draw attention to certain issues. I personally believe that the Heritage Foundation knows this isn't a winnable case. They're just using Prince Harry to promote their own agenda on immigration. I'm not sure why they're using a rich white prince with an expensive immigration lawyer who was let in under the previous Trump administration to do so. It's an interesting strategy considering their base is really only concerned with the immigration of poor black and brown people. Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you made it this far, thanks so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.